Ladies and gentlemen, now connecting. Oh yeah! The killing cats! I feel if we encounter veganism and talk about it naturally and organically, that's fine. But ongoing, I feel it's better that we just become more of a subtle, allow the veganism to become more subtle in the content. Still there, obviously, because it's still part of me. But I don't know if making a stream, like I said, a vegan propaganda stream, will be the best idea in the long run. So, certainly if any other streamer wants to talk veganism with me and ideas in the same way as some of the streamers do, I'm happy to do that. I heard Destiny. Should we talk about what Destiny said? Yeah, let's do that. I might be able to cut this into a little video. I don't know.
So, like, why would you, for instance, I feel like under your system, it would be you'd be morally obligated to genocide cats. But you're saying, well, maybe just make them not breed and find ways to keep them alive. But every, day a cat lives, multiple other sentient creatures are being killed just to sustain this cat's existence.
Oh, I would agree. I think that I have a problem with keeping cats. We wanted cats. Me and my girlfriend, she loves cats, and she was vegan for me. But we both agree that keeping cats is immoral.
Sure, but I'm not talking just keeping cats. I'm saying that it seems like you're obligated to some extent to literally genocide cats. So, for instance, if you're driving down the street and you see a cat on the road, it's morally virtuous for you to swerve and run that cat over in order to, because that cat surviving as an obligate carnivore, every day it survives necessarily entails the death of other sentient creatures.
But I would say running a random cat over in the street is probably more morally complex than if we, as a society, agree that cats are unjustified. Because at the minute we all agree that for the majority of people actually agree.
I disagree with that.
Destiny was talking to Philosophy. I can't remember everyone's names. They were talking about veganism and the concept of these animals like cats, predatory animals. Okay, Destiny was basically saying, if you go to someone's house and they've got a cat, isn't that cat like a murderer? Doesn't it kill lots of other animals? And so shouldn't it be stopped, for the good of the animals? And the assertion was made by Destiny that the cat, as an obligate carnivore, it creates this knock-on effect of more animals are being killed to feed the cat. And I believe he wasn't just talking about the cat kills birds because it's a natural predator. I think he was also talking about the fact that you feed a cat food that is from animal products. You're feeding a cat dead animals, so aren't you killing animals to make cat food, basically? So he's saying that the more cats exist, the more cat food is sold, so let's kill all the cats right now. Or he's not saying we should do this, he's saying, shouldn't you do this if you're vegan? Let's kill the cats right now, and then problem solved, loads of animals are saved because we're not making them into cat food. Okay? I disagree. And I disagree on the primary assertion that we're killing animals to feed to cats. I believe, I might be wrong, and if I'm wrong, then I'll say what I would think if I was wrong at the end. But first of all, we'll assume I'm right in what I'm about to say. I believe that the cat food and the pet food and the dog food, the animal pet food industry, is a byproduct of the animal agricultural industry, and that they use the waste, the things that we humans wouldn't even put in chicken nuggets. I believe that's the case. I believe that the little sachets of meat paste stuff that I feed my cats have not been raised and fed and butchered and ground up, and I believe that it's after that process has happened so that we can feed people burgers, the byproduct, the rubbish, the waste. I believe that's then turned into animal foods, pet foods, and I'm pretty confident in another belief, another idea, that this happens in other industries as well. I know for a fact that when I was a hairdresser, I had a problem with animal testing products, generally, but there was a bigger problem in that some products were made of animals. So hairspray, quite often it would be made from the shells of prawns and other crustacea. It makes a very good hair lacquer, those shells, the chitin in the shells. And so what would happen is that the hairdressing factory, the factory that made hairspray, would be put next door to the seafood factory. because all the shells are coming off in the bin, and they would be piped next door. They'd even be part of the same company. Quite often, a company that would be involved in the, and I'm talking about big companies here, like the mass producers of industrial waste through agricultural waste or whatever. They will find ways of using their waste creatively that they can resell it back. And I think that pet foods are one of those products, and I think that's why pets themselves are profligated, or, you know, there's an industry. I'm not going to try and use my big words. Profligated might have been the wrong word, but there's an industry that drives the sale and the idea that you should all have a pet. That industry is partially the pet food industry, isn't it? It's, you know, a massive part of that. And so the more people that own pets, the more pet food, the more stuff they can sell them. So that idea is being perpetuated in society. You know, it's being advertised, marketed, and so are pets. And then that creates a knock-on effect, which we're not talking about at the moment. We're talking about veganism and whether you should kill cats. But this is part of it, is that marketing creates this excess, not in demand, but in supply of pets. And so then you have shelters full of animals that have no homes, and people that get animals and didn't really want them and treated them like objects because they were sold to them in the same commodified way as an object, and literally are objects in the eyes of the law. This creates this thought problem within people that don't understand it. They don't look into it. They don't think about their own thoughts and the way they're, working. They just take it for granted that people have pets, and why don't we buy another dog? And then we've got this problem. So part of it is that we rehome and provide, decent lives for all these animals that have been produced by our system in excess. They've been wrongly produced by our system, and that we shut down that means of production. Like, we don't continue to produce, we don't continue to promote, and we break that down. It doesn't mean that you can't have animals, can't have pets. That's a different topic that we can talk about, because I've got a dog, and I've been to the rescue centre, and I spent 20 years with my previous dog. So I know what it's like to have an animal and be vegan. It's difficult. It's one of these real life difficult problems that we can't solve with philosophy, because you have to actually get in there and do it and pick up the poo and feed the fella. So, you have to make a balance. And at our time in the vegan cause, in the vegan story, we're at the point where we're trying to take down the big problems, and we're not able to fine-tune and polish these smaller problems as the vegan community, because we're not at that stage yet. But one day when we are, will they have cats on the SS Enterprise? Probably not. Because they'd kill all the mice on the SS Enterprise, wouldn't they? And they like the mice. I don't know. Nobody knows. But yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to make sure that I've said that point about that. I don't believe that I don't believe that we are creating a demand for animal products I don't believe we're creating a new demand, a demand that exceeds the excess supply of animal products. Because at the moment, people believe in supply and demand. They believe that you demand something, so someone will supply it at a price, and that price is set by that cross point on the graph. I studied economics at university. I know what I'm talking about. It's not true. What happens is people have a supply of something and they create a demand for it, and then they fix a price, and then they say that price should go more, so we'll create another image and idea that we can use to sell the price higher. It's complicated, but at the moment I believe that the animal pet food industry is, because of a surplus of supply of animal products, because there's all this excess material from the murder of all these animals, and rather than just throw it in landfill or burn it, they can sell it. So that's what we're buying when we're feeding our pets. I don't believe that we're contributing to the slaughter of an additional animal when we buy our pet food. Now, I might be wrong, and I believe there's a spectrum of pet foods out there, and there are some that are going to be better and worse than others. And sometimes my dog gets vegetables, but it's not his main diet. I understand that. And that's not a very good thing for a vegan to be doing. So there's a balance I have to work out. I have to work out like my carbon footprint. I have to work out with homing the animal and providing it with a decent life is worth the payoff of consuming. I'm not consuming it, but we as a family are consuming the animal product that is a byproduct of the animal industry. Is that worth it? You know, so them's the breaks. That's what you have to do. You have to work this stuff out as a vegan and try your hardest to do the best thing for the ecosystem and for the other individuals, be they human or animal, that exist in it, to try and help everyone to have a happy and natural life if you can. That's my answer to Destiny. And should you kill cats? No. I was surprised, but philosophy PhD sort of came to the conclusion, sort of said that, yeah, they should in some ways. I don't think that, really. I think animals have a right to live their natural lives, but I do understand that some animal species have been bred, by deliberate mechanism. It's not nature that produced certain animal species, it's humanity, and that maybe we should stop breeding them and producing these things. But in nature, I'm not sure if it's a good idea to go and kill all the lions because they kill other animals, because I love animals so much I want to stop them from being killed by killing animals. I don't think that's the logical step. My position as a vegan should be that I want to allow those animals to live natural lives. And so in removing myself from there, by not killing the lions, I'm allowing them to live their natural lives. Yes, it's natural that they then go and kill it. Nature is nature, yeah? And as a vegan, I'm not sure that I should become this is my personal ethics, my thinking on it, but I'm not sure that my aim is to become the dominator of nature to the point where I choose which animal species should and shouldn't live based on my morals. Nature has its own system. I'm not going to say morality, because obviously nature, this philosopher, this PhD student goes into all these clever morality words and definitions, and they're good. They help you to understand how you think, and I do ascribe to some of those ideas, and I can understand some of them, not all of them. I can't understand I'll be honest, I can't understand all of the mad, high concept thinking that goes on in these videos sometimes, and they say all this stuff really quickly and you think, God, give me time to look it up. But I do understand some of them. Obviously I'm not a complete donut, but I'm not sure how useful they are on the day-to-day understanding of the layperson who just feels bombarded with too much high-brow thinking. I remember the same PhD student spoke to a vegan YouTuber, and she herself said that she wasn't really understanding a lot of this stuff. It was going over her head. So I don't know how useful it is in certain contexts, but what I do know is core principles that are on display that people can see, that are easy to get confused, like should you kill a cat? As a vegan, no, you shouldn't kill a cat. Make that clear right now in the scheme of things. This is something else I want to point out as well. There's a priority. There's a set of priorities. Some things are really big problems, and our friend, the philosophy PhD student, was saying, that animal agriculture was a really important problem at the moment, in terms of effect on the world. It was one of the biggest things that we can help to fix. So yeah, I see that there are priorities, and I don't think that domestic cats should be considered a high priority. So whilst we can discuss it, and if we as a society became a lot more vegan, maybe at some point we'd get to a point where these domesticated cats were the only remnant of a non-vegan society and was something that we felt we had to deal with. But until then, I would say should you kill the cats for, philosophically, ethically, all these questions. Like, it's an interesting debate, but overall, no. Today's day and age, no, we shouldn't be going around killing cats. We shouldn't look at them as murderers and horrible things. They're beautiful animals. They happen to have been adapted from nature by humans, so they've got some warped characteristics from a natural sense. And there are a lot of animals like that. A lot of animals are like that. And it happens naturally as well. Like, foxes become more urbanized, and it's not that we're breeding urban foxes, but, this happens as well. Right? So it's complex, but it shouldn't be our priority. And in simple terms, to a non-vegan, I think it's probably healthy if you say something like, maybe in the long run, we should look at the ethics of this thing you've brought up. Because a lot of the time, the non-vegan argument, or the idea that comes from the non-vegan, is something strange and pedantic that I don't think I have to encounter. I don't think I should have to murder my own pet in order to prove my veganism. But they seem to get hooked up on this. Oh yeah, but if you've got a cat, how can you be a vegan? If you think this, it's like this clever thought trap they've got you in, but it's not really, because you're just trying to live a good life and do your best, and to make sure that any animals you encounter live the best normal lives they can live, and that you do your best to not impact on other people's lives, on other animals' lives, that you don't buy into the economy of shame, you don't buy their dead corpses and eat them, and you don't, it knocks on as well, in my opinion, to not buying so much fast fashion, he says, with his cool jumper. But I get my stuff from charity shops. I don't so much at the moment because they're all closed because of Corona. But if I can, I choose to go to charity shops. They're cheaper. They're second-hand clothes, yeah. But I'm not buying into the economy of shame by making a sweatshop person sew them. I'm getting a second-hand item and the money's going to the charity. So, there are options in the world. And being a vegan means you choose the option that creates the least amount of damage to the wider society. And if you haven't got an option that you feel comfortable with, you fight to create that option. It doesn't mean that you should be going around killing people's pets on a crusade against predators. Certainly not at this stage in the game. Certainly not at this stage in the game. And if you don't see that, you don't understand that, or if it's a concept that you find makes me a hypocrite because I've got a pet. I've got a video about pets on my Battery Exhausted channel where I discuss it in greater detail. Probably not in the same detail as a psychology philosophical student, and probably not to the same depth of arbitrary debate position that's going to satisfy some people. But it certainly satisfies me, and it certainly satisfies the animals around me and the animals that I impact in my life. So I think a bit of sense is required when having these debates and looking at these things, and a bit of perspective. And being veganism itself is like that. It doesn't mean that one day you wake up and you say, from today, everything is thrown away that I used to do. All these things in my cupboard are going in the bin, and I'm never going to, if I accidentally drink a cup of tea with some milk in it, I'm going to throw it up. It doesn't mean all that. It just, you make a progressive, gentle progress. Today I'm going to start buying soya milk instead of cow milk, and then next week I might try that vegan burger. It's progression. And for some people, there is a light bulb moment where you say, hang on, I don't want to actually eat that anymore. And you just don't, you just choose not to. But it doesn't have to be like this, you don't get branded on part of your brain and it just suddenly, I'm changed. It's a process, isn't it? It's a process. And as a process, we're all engaged in the process. Those debates are valuable. But Destiny, please, don't suggest. And also, Psychology Man, whose name I sadly have neglected to remember. I don't think he told me his name in the broadcast that I watched. But if you ever see this video, if I ever get the opportunity to engage with these people on this platform, I'd just like to say that, please don't tell people to kill cats. They might get a funny idea about veganism. They're killing cats! I know that you're highbrow on the philosophy. I know you're highbrow, and I know that you're studying a PhD and that you're excited by these highbrow concepts. But understand the working daily life of the people that you are trying to educate, inform, convince, understand their, their inability to talk on your level at some stage, and attempt to view things from their side, so you don't accidentally make them think vegans kill cats, for example. Because vegans kill cats is maybe not the best message, if in terms of a hypocritical standpoint and a debate. Maybe I don't know. My 2 cents. But yeah, I don't want to kill cats. I think maybe I'm not going to breed any more. I'm not going to be responsible for the breeding of them myself. And I don't think we, as a society, should. Again, priorities. This goes for wider things. I don't know if, as a society, our priority should be the breeding of show cats. But, I wanted to say there's bigger fish to fry, but we don't fry fish, do we? You know what I mean? I think if we can make these big changes first, the big, more obvious ones that are changing, the substantial shifts and the culture shifts, that these other factors will eventually be addressed and change. Maybe organically, maybe maybe the market for cats will just dry up. Maybe all the rescue cats will get rescued, and eventually we can solve that problem before we solve the problem of not creating any more. I don't know. I just had a rant again, a ramble. Call it a ramble. Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. But yeah, you can call it a comeback, because I wasn't here for years because of all that fucking nonsense. But we are back. We're green. We're back in the green, aren't we? The Ganji kid. The Ganji kid. With his hat. You be good, my little puckos. As cats are obligate carnivores, shouldn't you swerve your car and hit it if you see a cat? Like, shouldn't you run it over? If you went around your friend's house and they've got a cat, isn't that like you hanging out with a murderer? Shouldn't you kill it to prevent the deaths of far more animals? Right? Right. I hate when I say right. Pick me up on that. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm saying right all the time. Shouldn't you do that? And I was explaining it's about perspective. If you're going to take that attitude, then your priority is going to be the other humans first, because they're doing much more bad things with animals. So should you swerve your car to hit a person eating a burger? I mean, as a vegan, do I think we should be killing people who are non-vegan? No, they're also animals. So we have to show compassion. That's a core principle of veganism, is show compassion to animals. So is my solution to an animal that's not acting in a vegan way to myself be non-vegan and kill it? No, that's not my solution. I want you to think about that with your clever ethics and your clever thoughts and your clever words. Right? Try and put that into clever words for me, please. That's a conflict.